getting just a small sprinkle of rain down by the pond. We're going to get after it and try to clear out the interior so we can start working on those gable ends. Now that we have everything moved up to our temporary storage on this porch ceiling, do some measurements and see if we can't cut those gable ends. Now, I've never done that before. I have no idea what I'm getting into. Might as well give it a shot. Now we got to go pick up a piece of 3/8 inch plywood, bring it down here on our table outside. If it starts to rain, we can get one piece inside. It's not going to be a big deal. Cut at least 1/2 of one end of the gable. And let me show you what we've got to work on. That gable end, I'm going to cut to the middle of that pink vent you see there. I'm going to try to do one side and then the other. Let's go get our wood and try to cut it. Then we did get a little rain. I got about halfway down the hill in the pickup truck with that load of plywood, and thank goodness I was able to turn around pretty quick and get back to the garage. I would guess we got a 1/4 inch of rain here in the last 20 minutes. So we won't let this put us too far behind. We'll just get back inside and do our measuring. We're very happy for the rain, so not a problem to be put off a day. Well, we managed to cut our template out of a piece of scrap wood that we had outside, and it fits perfectly on both ends, except for one small mistake. This was supposed to be 3/4 of an inch. I cut it 1.5 inches, so I'll know not to do that. I think what we're going to do is run up again, get the truck, and try to bring one piece of plywood down here and maybe cut one of these things out and see if it'll fit up there. No need in waiting. Let's just go do it. Well, believe it or not, that fits almost perfect. I'll show you one little mistake I made. If you look at the corner right here, I cut that notch a little wide. So this is my first gable end cut, and I'm pleased, very pleased that it worked out as well as it did. And I can cover all those mistakes with trim. So we'll knock out the second one tomorrow and have one end done, and hopefully by the end of the day tomorrow, we'll have both gable ends covered. And right now I need to go grab my wood because it started to rain again. Good afternoon, everyone. We are back at the pond cabin to try to finish off these gable end cuts and get that plywood up in those bare spots. Let's get this thing rolling. That's one end finished, and I am really happy with that. Oh, we've got to take that board out. Get up there. Oh yeah. Right there. All the imperfections that we see right here and at the top will be covered by trim. I decided to use that trim because it was very wide, and I knew I was going to have a lot of trouble cutting these gable ends. So we're going to screw this thing to the wall. I am really happy with how this turned out. We got an awful lot accomplished today. Got the gable ends cut and up. They're set. All I have to do now is come back and do the finish work, which is the trim. I think it'll be just fine. As a matter of fact, I know it's going to be just fine because I'm not going to do anything else to it. It will be perfectly well for us. Hope you've enjoyed today's video of me struggling to learn how to cut gable end pieces of plywood. I feel like I learned something. All right, let's go get something cold to drink and get out of this heat. Good morning, everyone. It is now Wednesday morning. We've been out bush hogging for a couple of hours, gotten a lot of the bigger pastures done. Now we got some finish up work and we'll be done for another bush hogging event. We've already picked tomatoes and squash and eggplant and all that kind of stuff this morning. So if we can get finished, we're going to go back down to the cabin, try to finish up our interior trim work later this afternoon. So as you can see, it's always busy. We got a little behind with the 4th of July holiday, and I hope everyone had a very happy 4th. But we're going to try to catch up this morning. So let's jump on the tractor and get back at the bush hogging. We'll talk to you later on. The old tractor did another good job here on the field, and it's good to have this out of the way. Another warm day. Temperatures got just a little bit elevated, but never got out of the green, so I think we're just fine. It's probably time to do a radiator flush, and maybe that'll be the next maintenance we do on the tractor. We're gonna go get her put away and get started back to the cabin, try to do a little bit more interior work. We'll catch up with you in a few minutes. I love the way this property cleans up after a good bush hogging. I think we waited the right amount of time. Had plenty of grass to cut so we could see where we were going, but not too high to bog the moor down. Here's the other back pasture where the cabin sits. I would guess this is probably a good 2.5 acres, maybe 3. Goes back to that tree line. The crabapple tree is loaded down with apples again this season. And here's the front pasture on the left-hand side of the house. It looks awfully nice once it gets mowed. The last thing I want to take a look at is the right-hand side of the house. This is where one of the vegetable gardens is located. And our new sweet corn patch, which is doing really well. You see the okra starting to grow. Okra loves that summer heat. I've already gotten okra on it already. And you can see here the okra is definitely getting ready. A few of the silks on the sweet corn are turning black. We picked about 2 dozen ears a couple days ago and they were perfect, but we'll wait on more of these to darken up before we pick any more. Make sure that it's ready to go. But everything turned out awfully well in the new sweet corn patch after a slow and rough start. And here you can see some of the pecan trees. That's one I grew from a seed. And the others are the Elliots and the Mahans we bought and put into the ground. We'll keep some water on them, try to get them up to that 4 or 5 foot height so that they can really get some growth put on them. Then you see the view through the front yard. I loved having those bright colored flowers on this side of the house. More color in the front. It's been a really nice summer. We've gotten enough rain, although we need some right now just to maybe cool it off a little bit. A little better view of the front yard with the new fence and the new plantings in the beds. Daylilies are struggling a little bit without any water. But the zinnias, they are having a big time in this heat. Of course, if you remember, we worked an awful lot on that big bed over here in the early spring. That purple plant, which I can't remember the name of at the moment, is really going crazy. It's just growing like a weed. If you remember, I ran over that tree, that little Japanese maple with a tractor. Well, I just came out and snipped the top off and put some tape around it, and it put back out. So pretty happy with that one. And the big magnolia just continues to look powerful and great. Landscaping plans coming together. We just have a lot more work to do. I'm not really sure if I ever did a video on the gate installation. This is our solar gate, a nice 16-footer. It's mounted on a metal post behind the 6x6s. There's the solar array and the control box. Another metal post for it to close against. And we are really happy with this gate. Okay, we're going to use this piece of trim for our corner pieces, and we're going to put 2 to the corner. So let's go cut some pieces that are 77 inches long and see if we can't get the first piece installed. I like the way that worked out. Very simple. It's balanced on both sides, so looks fine. Paint, put a little caulk down the middle, it'll all be great. Now let's knock out this other corner. Okay, second corner's in. A little bit more of a gap here in this area, but we'll put a little dab of caulk in there and it'll be just fine. Now we'll come over and trim this corner piece here by the window, which I think is only going to take 1 piece of trim. All right, a little bit of difference. Somewhere in this corner, maybe with this trim piece, it's 77 1/4. Glad I measured it. Now that we have the door trimmed out here at the top, at the bottom of these pieces, and at the very bottom of the door, we're not going to do the sides because these turnbuckles here keep tension on this door and keep it together. So we're just going to let it be as it is right now. We're going to move inside and start doing a little bit of the trim work on the ceiling and see if we can get most of that taken care of today. If it seems particularly dark for the middle of the afternoon, that's because it is. We had a crazy thunderstorm roll in. Lightning struck a pole right at the end of the pasture here, blew up the transformer. So we have no power, but more than that, we got a scare. It was really close and really loud. TREC guys are out here working on the pole at the moment. So while they're doing that, we're going to go back in the cabin, even though it's a little dark, and keep on working. So we'll get back in there and see if we can't finish this trim up this afternoon. You see the corner trim, you see the gable ends, styrofoam is up with some blocking, all the beadboard is up, trimmed in all the corners. The windows are trimmed out as best I could trim them. Door frame, as I talked about earlier on, has styrofoam behind it, beadboard, and is trimmed out. And I'm surprised at how little scrap we had. Not an awful lot for a guy like me who doesn't really know what he's doing and, just struggles to kind of figure it out as I go. It's really good to have this project finished up, at least the interior part of it. I hope you guys have enjoyed these videos, this series of videos on this little job. We're going to start early next week on the courtyard project. We've been talking about that for almost a year. I think the first thing we're going to do is put some gravel down and get a sidewalk established. And then we're going to set some 12-foot 6x6s and attempt to put a sail up. Hope you'll come along and watch that one. It's going to be interesting. But until we come back and we start working on something else here at Sid's Blue Sky Farm, I hope you have a great rest of the week. Thank you for watching. Leave your comments if you want, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.